hope the second run through is the last run through I have to do of this, because I don't want to film this video again. Hi, my name is Bhavika. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm Bhavika. We talk about anything and everything here. And if you haven't guessed by now, this video is just going to be me going over me rewatching the entire Flash season, or not season, series, the entire Flash series up until the newest season that they have released, and my opinions on it, because I decided that I wanted to talk about this because I really enjoyed the show, and then I stopped watching the show, and I wanted to know why. So, if you're a Flash fan, or you want to know my opinions, or whatever it may be, grab a coffee, tea, whatever it may be, and we'll get this started. I have mine right here, so let's get started. Starting with season 1, I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember why I enjoyed this series. You have all the pop culture references by Cisco. Like I said, there was great chemistry between all the characters and all the actors, The first season was definitely, watching Barry make these connections with Cisco, Caitlin, Wells, and seeing his relationship with Iris and Joe. Season 1, I was just like, okay, I absolutely love this. I love the moments. There are so many different moments, and I'm going to insert some clips here and there of some of my favorite moments from season 1. So season 1, great. And I was like, okay, and then it had the momentum that was building up. You were being introduced to new characters. So in season 2, it just kept upping itself. Like, you had more characters being added, but also it didn't lose the fun loving and just humor that was a part of it. Yeah, there were bad times where they were facing bad guys, and there's that kind of angst in that, but there was still the humor, and it was still funny, and it was still a little bit lighthearted. If you compared it to Arrow, Flash was definitely more lighthearted than Arrow, and that's something that I really appreciated about the show, was the fact that they, kept it a little bit lighter. It wasn't always angst and anxiety and cliffhangers and just at the edge of your seat the whole time. So then we get to the end of season 2 where, Barry watches his dad die, and it's very, hard for him to cope with that. He went back to the house where his mom died, and then Zoom killed his dad, and then he essentially goes back into the past and then decides to, change the timeline. And I think that's the point where it started to kind of fall off for me. That was the point of what it led after to that. So he creates Flashpoint, he goes back, he changes time, he makes sure his mom does die at this point, because he realized that, he's losing all his memories and stuff. And then he, goes back into the new reality, leaving Flashpoint. And then this reality, Dante is dead. Caitlin's killer Frost. We have Julian, played by Tom Felton, which I absolutely love the fact that he was added to the cast. I'm a huge Tom Felton fan, so wasn't mad about that, even though he played a jerk, but The one thing that did get a little hard to watch the show, a little annoying, kind of just oh my god, come on, let's move on from this, was the aspect of Barry told him that there were changes in Flashpoint, and when he came back, there were things that had changed. But they all agreed to not talk about it, or they didn't want to know the changes, which is fine. And then they end up finding out the changes because it just happened to be revealed, which causes more conflict. And then they're all upset with Barry, blah, blah, blah. But it was one of those things that just kept getting pushed back in our faces of, oh, they're in the middle of a fight or they're all disagreeing. And I get it. Like, they have the right to be upset. Like, a lot has changed. But Barry didn't really mean to do it. And it just felt like that. It just was really hard to watch. And honestly, it felt like the way the show was going and like the flow of it, it felt like the writers like went to Flashpoint and like a whole bunch of new writers, like they just changed. And maybe that was the point. I don't know, on a creative like aspect of it, maybe that was the point of the writing to be changed, in the fact that, you know, he created a new reality. Maybe the writing's not the same. Maybe the world and the atmosphere is not the same. I can't confirm that, but, you know, in a creative aspect, if you're analyzing it in a storytelling way, maybe. I don't know. That's the only thing that I can think of that would be, like, make sense as to why, like, the whole writing structure and, like, the dynamics changed. But I'm not sure. That's just what I'm thinking. That, you know, they created Flashpoint. And that atmosphere cannot be replaced season 3 and going forward. I don't know what happened. It started to really like deteriorate from there, and then, you know, saving Iris was the main story in regards to that, and it felt like no matter what Barry did, he was always getting shit for everything he was doing. Like, again, that made it kind of unenjoyable to watch, the amount of like Barry hating that was going on. Not saying that he didn't deserve some of it, but it was hard to watch in that sense. One thing that I absolutely loved about season 3 was the addition of H.R. Wells, and I think he's like the sweetest Wells, which definitely added to the group. He was very supportive and an emotional support, and that was an aspect that I did like that they included. So season 3, I was like, okay, it did still have some of the humor. It like kind of got brought back to that, and then that leads into season 4. Season 4, I think, is probably it's the worst season in my opinion. I think it was super boring. It was hard to follow. Like, it started out really good. You got the introduction of, you know, Ralph. I like Ralph. I like his character. I like his redemption story. And he's a good support to the team as well in the later seasons as he's growing. But so that whole season is about the bus metas and Debo, the thinker, doing his whole thing, and his wife, and it was just really hard to watch. I watched it the first time it came through when it was on Netflix, but as I was doing the run through, I got through half the season and I was just like, I can't. It was just too boring, and I didn't care for the bad guy. I didn't care in regards to that. So halfway through, I think halfway through the season, I decided to skip it and just move to season 5. I also just didn't understand the villain's wife as well. Like, I love you, so I'm going to support you doing this, and all of that. Like, it was all based out of how much I love you and how much of a great guy he is, and I'm just like, I don't know, like, the lightheartedness and the humor was like slowly like just going away, and it just wasn't a fun season to watch, and it just felt very dragged along. So season 4, not my favorite season. I deem it one of the worst seasons that they have, but that's my opinion. Season 5, you have Nora being introduced, and I actually did like that. Like, you saw the dynamic in regards to like how Barry and Iris deal with the fact that, you know, they have a kid in the future, but also the fact that Nora didn't get to know Barry at all in the future, and Iris didn't tell her that she was a speedster, so her learning and coming into her own, and also Barry once again teaching and passing down the speedster knowledge in regards to how to do things and that. So I liked that part of the season. I did not care for the bad guy at all. Did not care for Cicada as the villain for the season. Again, that felt very dragged and very long and just took forever. And I get that they have to fill the whole season, like they have 22, 26 episodes between there to fill a season in regards to a bad guy. So obviously they can't like fight the bad guy and be done after like 10 episodes. But it just never felt dynamic enough to keep it going. Well, I should say by season 5, I've like not lost interest, but it's not the same. It's not feeling the same. Like the show's just not the same at this point. And I get that shows evolve and things change, but one of the best things about the show was that they had that humor, they had that connection, they had that dynamics. I had not watched season 6 at this point, so I had watched everything up until season 5. Sporadically as it was coming out and stuff. But season 6 I had not seen up to this point. So as I'm watching it, it was entirely confusing. I get that Crisis, like they put Crisis in the middle of it, and I get that because it's show based, they have to have their own like run times and stuff, but because of that, it just felt weird. Like you had Ramsey, the bad guy, in like the first, I want to say it was like the 6 episodes there, and then you have Crisis in the middle of it, and then after that you have the aftermath of Crisis / the whole Joseph Carver and a private organization that like uses metas to be assassins, and then the fact that Iris is now in the Mirrorverse. There's that, and then it leaves on a cliffhanger. So there you got three separate things happening in an entire season. And I believe the season was 19 episodes, so that's a lot to do within 19 episodes. It just felt like it could have been executed better, in my opinion. It was really hard to like find a grasping on the last season. It really sucked that you didn't get to know this new Wells. Like I felt like there was no connection. No one really like connected with Nash at all. So you have that, and then it just felt rushed. And I don't know if it was because of the pandemic that they only got up to 19 episodes, because that cutoff seemed very not Flash-like. I could be totally wrong with that. I was like, at this point, I'm just watching it to be caught up. I'm not exactly enjoying any aspect of this season. So, like I said, like I said at the beginning of the video, I wanted to know why I decided to stop watching it, or why I started to lose interest. And I realized that as I was watching it through, it lost the magic, it lost the, like, what it had in the first 2 seasons. It just became very, very angsty and very emotional all the time. Like, it lost the fun. Like, I wasn't sad watching it, but I was just like, oh, I missed this aspect. It was something that was missed. That's basically like my overall view of why I stopped watching The Flash, or / like stopped getting excited to watch The Flash. Now the newest season is supposed to be coming out this month, I believe. I'll definitely watch it when it comes out, but I don't know if I'm going to be excited to watch it. I'll definitely give it a try. I just don't know what to expect in regards to that, like what's going to happen. So that's where we leave it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button as well. And then hit that bell so you can be notified of all new videos when I get them posted. I hope to see you at the next video. Bye!